Hello YouTube, back once again with my film reviews, and the other night I saw probably the most controversial movie of the summer movie, at least of 2016, the reboot to Ghostbusters, and before I get into this, let me just say quickly what I thought of the original two Ghostbusters. The first one, I'm with most people, I do think it's a comedy classic. It's just so many great comedians all at their age, all on their A game, and it's just a comedy greatness. The second one, I know how many people hate it, so think it's just truly awful. Honestly, I've always just thought it was okay. I know, yeah, it's just when you get down to it, just a complete rehash of the first one, just not as good. But that's what I expected when I saw it, and with those, I did not expect to get Ghostbusters 1 again. I technically did. It was technically Ghostbusters 1, but I mean, just something as good as Ghostbusters 1 again. I just thought this is probably just gonna be a mediocre comedy, and that's what it was, so I don't hate it as much as most people do. So, anyway, and here we are with the reboot made, what has it been, 30 years now since the last one came out? This movie is such an interesting movie for how much controversy was stirred around it. It had two of the most annoying groups of people I've ever seen, debating this movie. The sexist jackasses who just said, oh god, it's a all-female cast, I can't take that shit, this is gonna be terrible. F those people. And then there were the people who are on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, who are just as terrible, who said, well, if you don't like this movie, or if you think this trailer was awful, you're a sexist, misogynistic, bastard. Because we can't just say that this trailer was terrible just because none of the jokes were funny in it. It was the fact that they're women that just made us all say, wow, that looked terrible. And, So I hate those people too. I fucking hate those people. But anyway. So, here we are with the reboot, and I walked into this movie with an open mind. I said, okay, the trailer looked terrible, maybe it'll be good though. I mean, I love Paul Feig's work for the most part. I think Bridesmaids and Spy are modern comedy classics, and I enjoyed The Heat. I didn't think it was as good as Spy or Bridesmaids, but I enjoyed it. So I came into this with an open mind, and the interesting thing about this movie, this will be a movie that will be remembered for years to come as one of the most controversial, most highly debated, most just movie that just divided people before it's even released. And it will always be remembered as one of the most controversial films ever made. And the thing is, it is so incredibly mediocre. That's the weird thing about this movie. If there was not this much controversy behind it, this movie literally would have just come and gone and just pretty much be forgotten, because it's not spectacularly good, it's not spectacularly awful, it's really how most people are saying, when most people are saying, it's really just okay. Let's go through the good and the bad of this movie. The good, well, one, I have to give credit to the new cast. Melissa McCarthy, for those who were afraid that, she was gonna be doing her really obnoxious, really loud, always, yelling shtick she does, with her broader, shittier comedies. She doesn't do that at all here. Paul Feig usually knows, how to get the best out of her, and she does thankfully play it pretty straight for the most part, and I honestly think that's when she's at her funniest. I thought she was hysterical in Spy when she was playing it completely straight from beginning to end, and, even though she's not given many funny lines to say, she got a few chuckles from me every now and then. So she was, for those who were afraid it was gonna be Melissa McCarthy being annoying Melissa McCarthy. It's not. It's Melissa McCarthy being funny Melissa McCarthy. Well, her lines aren't funny, but it's her performance, the performance that she does when she's being funny and not annoying. Leslie Jones, from SNL. I know a lot of people were really worried that she was going to become really stereotypical and really offensive. She's not. She's pretty funny in this movie. She gets a few of the better jokes in it. She doesn't ever come off as offensive. It's just It's funny. She kind of just like almost is like the audience cipher, just like acting how like how a person like every man would in this situation. Like there's a scene I love when like she opens a closet and there's all like these creepy like mannequins just like all like lining the walls, and then she just closes. There's like, no, I'm not doing this creepy shit. Like I thought she was really funny. So for those who are afraid she was gonna be like, well, one, it's her doing her very loud like things she does on SNL, and for those who are afraid this could only work like in a 5-minute skit and not like in an hour and a half movie, don't worry, she is not the least bit annoying. She does get good laughs. She's not offensive, so those who are afraid about that, don't worry, she's good. But let's talk about the best one by far, Kate McKinnon. My God, does she steal the show in this movie? She just is something so her own. She just came up with a character and just ran with it all the way. She's weird, she's eccentric, she like almost like seems completely disconnected from the rest of everything's going on. Like only when she chooses whatever she wants to face or will face, or she just chooses what to take in and what to ignore. And my God, is she hysterical in this movie. From her physical comedy to her line delivery, she just steals every single scene she's in, and she had me cracking up from beginning to end. And I know a few people thought there are some people who thought she went too far with it. And honestly, I don't think that. I just thought she was hilarious from beginning to end. She just for me got the best laughs in the movie. I can't remember when I wasn't laughing with her anytime she was on screen. She is just hysterical from beginning to end. So, Kate McKinnon was just amazing in this movie. By far, in my opinion, the funniest thing in this movie. If it wasn't for her, I would probably say this movie would have been worse off. Also, though, other good parts of this movie, Chris Hemsworth, he gets a few good lines, just because he's Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth is usually pretty funny. He just basically playing an idiotic receptionist in this film. He gets a few good lines. Even though a few times his idiot shtick went too far. Like there's a fine line when you want a character to be enjoyably stupid. Like they have to be reasonably stupid. Like someone like when he's like, there's a scene like where he's like showing like all these possible logos he comes up with, like for the Ghostbusters. I thought that was funny. Then there's a scene like when there's a loud noise and he covers his eyes and his ears. I was like, okay, who's that stupid? So, but still, he's Chris Hemsworth. He's always tons of fun, Chris Hemsworth, and he was a lot of fun in this, too. Some of the special effects in this movie, I know a lot of people were afraid about the special effects going off the trailer, even though there are some aren't great. There are some that are very well done and are visually interesting. So yeah, for those who are afraid that like the visual effects would be dreadful, no, they for the most part they're pretty good in this movie. All the Ghostbusters gadgets were really cool in this movie. Just how they really had fun with it gives fun with all the ideas of like how all these different Ghostbuster gadgets they can make, like weapons, like there's handguns, there's shotguns, there's like basically shredders and grenades. Like it gives the movie a very steampunk feel during all the action sequences. So I really did like all the idea of all the new gadgets. That was all really cool, and I just gotta give this movie credit for the fact this movie could have been so much worse than it was. I give Paul Feig and the cast a lot of credit for this film, because this really could have easily been the trailer. Like, even, like, watching this movie, there are scenes you really can't help but feel like Sony had, like, a strong grasp on this scene. Like, they demanded, like, this get thrown into this movie, or, like, this get cut out. So, if it wasn't for Paul Feig and the cast, like, if it wasn't, like, I can imagine, like, if they had a shittier director, like, it would have been Melissa McCarthy being really annoying, and it would have been, all the jokes would have just fallen over and died, but he kept he made there were some really well done sequences, like the opening sequence, that was, like, really well done. It was both scary and funny at the same time, and, that was great, the opening sequence, but this also does lead to the issue that Paul Feig, for the most part, does the hard R comedies. Like I said, he did Spy, he did Bridesmaids, he did, the heat. It really does feel like feels like he's being really constrained by that PG-13, like, he really wants to go for the hard R. Imagine how amazing that would have been if this was a hard R Ghostbusters movie directed by Paul Feig. Like, that could have been amazing, but as it sits, it really does feel like there are a few scenes he wants to go further with a joke, but he's just held back for the fact he can't go that far. Same for Melissa McCarthy. It does seem like, just like Feig, she really wants to go further with the joke sometimes, but she can't because she's got to keep to the PG-13, and that's kind of upsetting. So yeah, but still, this film could have so easily been the trailer, but it's not. It's thankfully nowhere near as bad as the trailer made it made it seem how it would turn out. It's nowhere near that bad. But now we gotta go into the bad of this movie. Well, the big thing is, well, no, not the big thing, but one of the more noticeable ones, I thought Kristen Wiig was terrible in this movie, and which surprised me. I love Kristen Wiig. I think she's a hilarious woman, and has done also a really good actress for the most part. She's done some really great dramatic roles, like in things like Skeleton Twins or Welcome to Me, but here she just bombs in the role. Like, I can't remember a single laugh I got from her. I don't think I laughed once at her. She just seemed, and it's not just the fact that her lines aren't funny, because most of the cast, their lines aren't funny. She just seemed like she was just phoning it in more than the rest of the cast, almost like she was just thinking, like, what am I doing in this movie? Like, I was just in The Martian. Why am I in this crappy comedy? And because of it, she just seems bored and not as interested as everyone else does. And I was really surprised, because I really do like Kristen Wiig. I think she's hilarious, but I just thought she was so forgettable in this role. God, that was surprising. And considering the fact that all other three Ghostbusters I thought were great, she was just completely forgettable for me. But that's not the only problem with this movie. Neil Casey as the villain was just awful from beginning to end. He's not funny, he's not threatening, they really either had to come up with a really funny villain or a really threatening villain. He's neither. He's just boring. He doesn't get a funny line. He's just annoying. That's the best way to describe him. He is just annoying anytime he shows up, and I don't remember getting one. He's just dull. He's not dull, like he's forgettable. Like, I can remember he was in this, but he was just so obnoxious in the role. It's just terrible. And I was really bummed out, because I really thought, going off the opening sequence in the movie, it was going to be I thought Zach Woods from Silicon Valley was going to be the villain of the movie. And my god, how much funnier would Zach Woods have been in this villain? Like, he could have been a really hysterically pathetic villain in this movie. Like, just imagine Zach Woods trying to, be, ironically threatening. That would have been hilarious. But, oh god, was Neil Casey terrible in this film. Well, maybe it's not his fault. It was just a nothing role. And, that gets me into another role. This movie has such a great supporting cast, and they just waste them from, as we all know, as it's been heavily talked about in the advertisement of this movie, all of the original three Ghostbusters show up, as well as the receptionist and Sigourney Weaver, and they're not funny. They're so... It's almost like they just walk by just to be like, hey, we were in this movie, and that's it. Like, they're just there to show up and just be, for those who saw the image, like, hey, it's one of the original cast members. That's it. I don't think I got a laugh from a single one of them. No, wait, actually, no. Sigourney Weaver, she shows up in a post-credit sequence. That's when she shows up. She actually got a good laugh out of me, mainly for the fact that her scene is with Kate McKinnon, and Kate McKinnon made everything better in this movie. So, yes, except for Sigourney Weaver, I just thought, God, what a waste. It was a shame, when Bill Murray first showed up in this movie, he's supposed to be a skeptic, ghost debunker, and when they were just it's the news, Fane, they were Fane Ghost Debunker, whatever his name was, and then it just cut to Bill Murray. It's I just burst out laughing. I was oh my god, it's Bill Murray, I can't wait for him to say something funny, and he never does, and would just, God, was that a waste. Also, though, there's also such great, supporting, other cast members. They're like, Charles Dance is in this movie, and, Cecily Strong from SNL, and both of them could have been really funny in their roles, but they're given nothing, and God, what a waste for all these great comedians, and damn it. God damn it. Not just that, and but the other issues in this movie, the pacing and editing in this movie were really weird. I entirely blame Sony for this. There are some sequences I really do feel like Sony demanded they get cut out. Like, the most obvious one that just made everyone in my audience and everyone I've ever heard, like, I've seen who's talked about this movie, like, just kind of like raising eyebrows. There's this scene, like, when Chris Hemsworth, when he's possessed by the villain, I'm not going to say spoiler alert, it was in the trailer, so I don't care. There's, like, just a scene, like, he's just controlling all the, pedestrians walking by in New York City, and he gets them all to point like that. Like, they were just finished doing a dance number, and I was like, and everyone was like, everyone just, like, in my audience was just kind of, like, turning to one another, and they're like, did they cut out a scene there? Was there supposed to be, like, a dance sequence there? And yes, there was, like, because they show it in the ending credits, and if I have to guess, my guess is Sony demanded that scene get taken out after so many people said, oh god, there's gonna be a stupid dance sequence in this movie. It's a shame, because going off the credits scene, it actually looked like it would have been pretty funny for the fact it was Chris Hemsworth controlling them, and it's just the fact it would have been Chris Hemsworth. That would have been, I honestly think it would have been pretty funny, but no, it got cut out, and, yeah, so the editing and the spacing in this film are just really odd. Like, I really do want to see a director's cut for this film, because I do want to know, like, what Paul Feig originally intended, if he did originally intend something else. So, yeah, but this is the hugest problem in this movie that really drags everything down with it. The script for this movie is just really bad. That's why I give so much credit to Paul Feig and the cast. Is just because, like I said, in lesser hands, every joke in this movie could have been a bomb. Everything could have been terrible. Because really, the laughs in this movie, it's not the laughs from the script themselves. The lines themselves aren't funny. It's the actors' performances that make them funny, or the directing that makes them funny. And that's why I give Paul Feig and the cast so much credit, because I can honestly, this could have been so much worse, like I said, in a lesser director and cast hands, because honestly, if Paul Feig did not gather this cast, this could have honestly been like this summer's, The Fantastic Four, and oh my god, and screw the people who are going online and saying this is just as bad as Fantastic Four. No, it isn't. It's nowhere near that bad, and it's nowhere near as bad as Fantastic Four. Just for one, this is actually finished film, unlike Fantastic Four. So don't act like this is the worst thing ever, because it isn't. But yeah, but that's the huge problem with this movie, is the script is just terrible, and honestly, I do want to see a sequel to this movie, just for the fact I could imagine just, if they get a better script and they get the same crew back, I can't imagine a sequel actually being pretty good. It's just, the script for this movie I just thought was so lame from beginning to end, and maybe that's why I found Kate McKinnon the funniest thing in this movie, because she has by far the least lines out of any of the main four, I'm pretty sure. It's mainly just done from her physical performance it's mainly just a physical performance from her, and yeah, so final rating for Ghostbusters 2016, I'm giving a very solid 2.5 out of 5. It's okay. That's really the best word to describe this movie. It's just a mediocre, okay movie. It's not particularly good, it's not particularly bad, it's just okay. So, what I would honestly recommend, even though I didn't think it was good, I may recommend seeing this in theaters, just for the fact that same for Kate McKinnon, she was amazing. She was just, I loved her in this movie. But besides that, this movie really was, like most people were saying, it was a good cast acting around a lame movie. That's the best way to describe it. Like, Paul Feig in the cast, you can tell we're trying to make a funny movie, and the movie around them was just really lame. So, yeah, it's okay. That's all I really gotta say about this movie. Don't act like this is a movie that's gonna ruin your childhood. Do not dare act like this is the next Last Airbender. Oh god, this is nowhere near that bad. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say. YouTube, and as always, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.